Chief Marketing Officer at FlySafair, Mr. Kirby Gordon, joins us now to give us more clarity on the pilot strike. Mr. Gordon, it's a great pleasure, sir. Welcome to SA Today. So it's now confirmed about 200 of your pilots will be embarking on strike action as of tomorrow. Let's hear your official reaction to the news and also just your official response to Mr. Cronje's statements there.
Thanks so much. I'm afraid that the union has misrepresented those numbers quite extensively. They speak about over 200 pilots being embarking upon strike action. I think what I need to just emphasize is that we employ over 300 pilots. We have a number of pilots who are obviously not members of the union who will be participating in flights tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And equally, there are a number of those union members who have already committed to flying for the rest of the week. So I think the first thing I'd like to do is offer a reassurance to the flying public that we have our schedules covered for the rest of the week and that there will be no disruption to any flights or any customers going forward. It was very important to us to look after our customers as a key priority. And so last week already, we took proactive steps in order to be able to shave down our schedule and ensure that we had sufficient coverage to be able to maintain that schedule going forward, just to avoid any kind of disruption and manage the process responsibly.
Now, Kirby, look, you've just heard Mr. Cronje there. I just also want us to unpack some of the demands pertaining to the strike action, right? So what exactly are some of the demands that FlySafair is not willing to compromise on? And since issuing that counter notice of possibly locking those pilots out for 7 days, as we understand, about 200 pilots will be on strike. Are they protesting under the no work, no pay principle? And could they possibly also be dismissed during this process? As you've just rightly mentioned there, you have over 300 pilots, of which 200 are the ones that are affiliated to, of course, Solidarity at this stage.
Yeah, Alicia, I think I must just emphasize, while there are 200 members of the union, obviously they're not all participating in the strike. There are, as I say, a large proportion of those who have already committed to returning to work. I think the nature and the content of the actual disagreement, look, to be honest, and I think as my colleague alluded to earlier, it's very complex. There are so many elements in terms of remuneration, rosters, other substantive issues. The way that a pilot is scheduled and or remunerated is complex. There are a lot of different issues to it. And I think if we were to sit and unpack the specifics of that, it would actually be, A, I think a little unfair to the rest of our team who are actively working, and B, also probably take us far more time than we have available. But I think suffice to say, at the end of the day, the types of issues that are under discussion are not unique to any type of discussion between an employer and employee. I mean, effectively, if I can boil it down to the most basic summation, one party seeks to work less and earn more, the other seeks to pay less and work more. I mean, it's really the same discussion that everyone has over and over. Obviously, what has transpired is that using the channels that are available through the Labour Relations Act and the CCMA, we've worked to against those guardrails to reach a very advanced point. And that's obviously not necessarily the circumstance that we want to find ourselves in, but the offer or the demands that are being placed on the table by the union are absolutely untenable. And, it's important for us that we find, it's our duty actually to find a balance between, looking after the needs of our people and the long-term sustainability of the airline. And ultimately, I think what is absolutely key is that we do seek to foster a meaningful engagement with our pilots. They are very important to our organization and to our airline. We need to find this balance. We need to meet each other. And of course, it is our commitment to continue these negotiations in good faith.
All right, Kirby, and are you able then to confirm at this stage for us that are there any plans to at least get back to the negotiating table and place a new counter offer that would at least make sense for both workers and the company? You heard, of course, there that the union is saying that they are willing to come down to 8% if, of course, the other operational demands or matters are actually resolved. But I mean, 10% could be seen as being at the very high end of the bargaining spectrum, with the economy looking like it currently is at this stage across all sectors. So what else could you possibly offer besides the 5.7%, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I think the 10% is very high. And more than that, to be honest, as I mentioned, the reality is in terms of the way pilots are remunerated, that it's really quite reductionist to speak about these percentages, which of course are what has gone out in the media. The reality is that it's more than just a base pay, which is really the percentage increase that we're looking at here. There are other sorts of remunerative structures in terms of flight allowances, flight pays, discretionary bonuses, and all kinds of other things that can be discussed in the bigger remit of these things. So the actual cost to company increases are very, very high. So the reality is there is a matter of needing to meet each other, needing to find the dynamics between that remuneration, between individuals feeling as though that they are seen and can enjoy the kind of successes of the company, and manage their exposures to any potential failures. And that's really the basis of the negotiations against which we need to find one another. And it concerns us to a certain degree that the union is out so actively spreading disinformation, things about concerns around safety and fatigue, which are really strong conjectures. And as we say, our point is that we stand firm in our stance that we intend to engage and continue to engage in a meaningful and an open manner, without offering such sorts of conjectures. So I wouldn't want to speculate and make any kinds of unfair claims.
And a very quick one, Kirby. Talk to us about the claims that the CCMA indicated that it was, in fact, willing to mediate on the wage impasse, but they claim it was, in fact, Union Solidarity that told them that you, as FlySafair, were not, in fact, willing to participate any further. Is this true?
I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate. To be honest, the CCMA have been fantastic through this entire process. We've been actively working with them. Those that understand the nature of labor relations would understand that, you walk a very long path with the CCMA in order to be able to embark upon a protected strike and or a lockout. One needs to have a strike certificate that is issued by the CCMA, which is, of course, what the union and the pilots have acted upon. Otherwise, their strike would be unprotected. So our engagement has been open, has been thorough, and we've really walked this path with the CCMA the entire way.
Mm-hmm. And your final word, Mr. Gordon, what can you say to the workers as well as unions that will now be embarking on the strike tomorrow, as well as concerned passengers, as well as the rest of your clientele?
I think the first thing is, let me address the passengers first from that perspective. As I said, we've got contingency plans in place. It's obviously regrettable that we have to get to a situation where we need to take this type of drastic action. Of course, every employer would seek to not be in this position. We have approached it really responsibly, and so our aim is to ensure, or we will ensure, that all flights depart on time and as scheduled, and that has already been something that has been confirmed. So from a passenger perspective, we thank them for their patience, but also want to reassure them that their flights would be there. For the teams that are working and for the teams that are back at the office, obviously we have extended gratitude. This is they've been very busy in terms of managing these recourses and have been fantastic in ensuring that everything can happen and that our passengers are looked after in the long run as well. And to the rest of the pilot body, we look forward to an open and meaningful negotiation and ultimately to rebuilding a very meaningful relationship with the team. Genuinely, our teams are very important to us. Our pilots are very important to us, and this will pass. We will find common ground, and we look forward to continuing a very strong working relationship.
Mr. Gordon, thank you so much for your time, sir. That is Mr. Kirby Gordon there. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at FlySafair, of course, responding to that strike notice by pilots affiliated to Solidarity going on strike as of tomorrow.